Hey, it's Fit Gear Hunter here in my home gym of CrossFit Homeward in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. If you're ever in the area, please drop in and visit. But I'm up for a review here that's a little bit off the cuff or a little bit different than the standard and traditional reviews, because as I share in all the videos, you really should be using a chest strap for CrossFit training. So a Bluetooth or Ant Plus, depending on what device you use, depending on what watch will connect with Ant Plus or Bluetooth. I use the Polar H10 and all the different testing that I do just to get an accurate evaluation of the optical heart rate sensors as well as the workout training and load over time. But what I'm going to talk about today is a workaround. So there are some bands that they sell on Amazon that will give you an extension of your watch. And what you can do is you can track it on the bicep. And it's obviously been shown that the reflex across the wrist for optical heart rate sensors doesn't work very well, and it obviously will fail over time depending on the device and the different testing that we've done. But this strap, and really it's a simple, just sort of watch extender strap, but you can basically see it's just two basic lengths. So they have like a long, a middle, and a small that typically come in these sets. I had to look for one. I think this was with the Fitbit Ionic, and then there's one that's like a 22 millimeter that might be associated with the Charge. For whatever reason, Amazon only has these extenders for Fitbit-based devices. But what I'm also going to work on in the new year is actually having watch bands manufactured so that we could sell them on the side, or so I could provide them to watchers. But let's take a look, because what you'll see is that it's an actually impactful difference in making the optical heart rate sensor on most of the devices. I tested on the Huawei HGT2, which had terrible heart rate sensor results, the Suunto 7 and the Polar Vantage V2. And we'll look at the results, the impact and the differences from wearing it on the bicep versus on the wrist for a CrossFit or high intensity interval workout. As always, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, and please continue subscribing as we have a lot of videos coming out in the new year.
Okay, so the Huawei GT2, you can see just a standard fail from an optical heart rate sensor. It performed really poorly. So you can look at this workout and all the output and the heart rate graph, and then you see it on the Huawei GT2, just a total fail. Same thing with this workout, a bunch of lifting in the beginning with the shorter Metcon on the end, and then just a straight fail. And then what happens when you put it on the bicep, you start to see a whole different picture. So 129 beat per minute average in about 18 minutes in the red zone, and it's picking it up somewhat. So 122 average, 9 minutes in the red zone. So not exactly, but still an increased percentage. Here, 119 beats per minute average, and you can see the flow of the heart rate graph, and you see somewhat of a similar flow. So it's actually tracking some of the changes in intensity. Here, 115 with the, same sort of picture, and it has a similar look to the heart rate graph and time in the peak zones. Here's on a different, so 121 beats per minute average. You can see the heart rate graph down below and the time in the zone 5 and zone 4, and it looks similar. Again, very similar. So charting just really well. And if you look, so you can see in the stats, in the cardio load, tracking actually the cardio load pretty accurately in the 90s and high 80s. The zone 5, so the peak zone, not tracking quite as well, but the zone 4 and 5, so the 80 to 100% of heart rate maximum. And you can see the change down in the bottom right corner. So with just the optical heart rate by itself, about 44% accuracy, that's missing a lot. But with the bicep band, 64% accuracy, or an increase of 42. So that's pretty big, 45 to 64, and a 42% increase with one of the worst trackers of heart rate. So then the Polar Vantage V2, we're going to go through these a little bit more quickly. So 150 beats per minute average, 119. This is off the chest strap, off the same training load calculations, and then you got 150 and 120. So this is off the actual watch on the bicep. You can see the picture of the heart rate graph, picture of the heart rate graph, looks the same. Again, next workout, this is the chest strap, 126, 77, 125, 76. So really spot on. Picture of the chest strap heart rate, picture of the watch on the bicep heart rate. Again, 118, 61, 120, 61, just spot on. The chest strap, the watch. So you look at the stats, it is just a complete difference, a complete total change. So you're seeing hundreds, high 90s. You're seeing right spot on as long as you strap the watch to your bicep. So in this situation, you might not even need a chest strap. You just need to find a bicep band. And the summary, you know, went from 59% accurate, that's missing a lot, 40% missed, to 101% or about 100%, a 70% increase, but the biggest thing is 100%. So the Suunto 7 did not track well originally on the optical heart rate sensor. So here 119, you can see the flow of the, you know, the graph, 113, but the graph looks somewhat similar between the two. Here 125, looking at the, you know, the training effect. And again, the training effect is somewhat tracking similarly at 3.7, 123 average heart rate versus 125, and you can see the time in the zones and the picture of the graph. Again, look at the picture of the graph here for the actual chest strap linked to a Garmin, and you can see it here. So it's actually very similar with what it tracked in the Suunto. And the 118 average and the 3.0 training effect looks very similar to the output on the Suunto itself. So look at the summary of these things, and you can see that it's really tracking well. Average heart rates in the 90s, cardio loads in the 90s or 100%. Zone 5 is actually tracking at the peak. It's catching it. But if you look at the fourth workout, you see a fail. So the percentage was actually originally in the 90s% accurate, but then with this fourth workout, it just failed off it just didn't work. It brought the score down to 80%. So we have to keep that bad score in there. But if you look at the other percentages, it's actually pretty accurate. 42% to a 76% accuracy with an 80% increase. So that is a huge change, looking at how using a bicep band can help track your workouts.
So what do we see as a result? Well, you can clearly see that it makes a substantial difference in the the use of the optical heart rate sensor in the heart rate analysis and reading. And obviously the reason we need to have accurate heart rate tracking is because it tracks the intensity in the peak zones. It tracks the impact on your body. It flows through to accurate recovery time calculation or VO2 max calculation, or just overall, you know, fitness evolution. So just a simple solution is just to pick up, you know, one of these straps off of Amazon. I'll put a couple of links in the description so you have somewhere to go. And then keep your eyes tuned, because I'm working with a watch manufacturer. Straps Co. is going to send me some test devices or test straps to be able to begin the development of some armband Velcro straps that'll just snap directly into a 22 or 24 or 26 or 20 millimeter lug on a watch, so that you can just strap it on your bicep and go, because the difference is very clearly impactful. Again, this is the Fit Gear Hunter. Thanks so much for watching.